Now, in addition to the general settings, there are some other settings that may be important for your site. So I'm back on the dashboard again, and I'm going to go to Settings, and this time I'm going to go to the option for Writing. And there's a couple things here we'll want to look at. The main thing is that you can choose here the default post category. The default category is always going to be uncategorized, but you can change that to any other categories that you have created. Now you do have to create the category beforehand, but once that category exists, you can come to this settings page here and choose that category as your default. And then just anytime you create a new post, then it will automatically assign it to that category. And that's usually a good thing if you have a good catch-all category to use. But you can always just leave it as uncategorized if you like. And then once again, just make sure you save those changes if you've made any changes. Under the reading section, so under settings reading, there are some important ones as well. The first option is a really important one for some people. Choose what your front page displays. The default is for it to display your latest posts, and in fact it actually defaults to showing your most recent 10 posts. However, this is where you can essentially turn off the blogging functionality if you don't want to use the posts feature for blog posts. So in that case, what you would do is you would tell it that you want your front page to be a static page, and then any pages that exist within your site you can then choose as your front page. So in this case, all I can choose is the sample page, which is the default page they give you as an example. And then you can also specify an alternate page as your post page. If you still want to use the blogging functionality but don't want it to be on your front page, then you could choose from there. Now in this case, I only have one page to choose from, so I'll just leave that blank. And essentially what I'm doing here then is I'm just getting rid of the post page completely, so I will have no way to use the blogging functionality, or at least no way for people to see the blog posts. So you're effectively turning that feature off. And then below that, if you are using the blogging functionality, you have the option of changing the blog pages show at most option. So that's going to be changing the number of blog posts that show up on that blog page. Another feature that this has is the ability to show just summaries of your blog posts on your post page and in your feed, and then require people to click on it to see the full text. The default is for people to see the full text on your post page and in your feed, but if you want them just to see the summary, then you can certainly specify that. So they'll see just the first portion of your post, or if you've specified a separate excerpt for your post, you can have them see that instead. And then the last thing here is for site visibility. Now this can come in really handy in a few situations. First of all, there is an option to allow search engines to index the site or discourage search engines from indexing the site. So this would be a good setting to choose if you, for whatever reason, don't want search engines such as Google and Bing and so forth to index your site and include the results in their index. Then you would set it to the discourage search engines from indexing this site option. And that's pretty good for a training site as well. So that way your training site doesn't show up in Google. You're probably not going to want that. But for a production site that's meant to be seen by the outside world, you're probably going to want to allow search engines to index the site. So choosing that first option would be ideal. But there's also a few more advanced options below that. The first option there at the bottom is that visitors must have a login. So essentially what that means is that anybody who has an account that can log into the WordPress system would be able to view the site, but anybody who can't log in would simply not be able to access it. So that could be helpful if you want only Palomar employees to access your site. The next one is only registered users of this blog can have access. And that means that it's people that you've specifically given access to your specific blog. So you can have really fine control over exactly who can access your site. That might be good for like an internal, department site, so not the external site that you want the public to see, but some kind of an internal site for internal discussions or information that you post. And then the last option is for only administrators can visit, and that means that literally just the administrators of the site. You are likely going to be the only administrator of the site if it's your own personal site. However, for departments and special programs, you can add other people as administrators, so then it would be good for testing of your site before you actually want to make it live. So that might be a situation where you use that setting.